Howdy, on YouTube Hoof here. There is a long-standing history of community-made content about the Team Fortress 2 video game that we all know and love. And while in some cases I have been in tune with these community-made creations, there are other cases where I just skip them entirely. And so today we are going to be taking a look at one of those instances. Hey Ash, What You Playin made an episode about Team Fortress 2. I'm not intimately familiar with this web series, but I am aware of Ashley Birch, and only somewhat aware of her brother, Anthony Birch. But while those are the creators involved, what I'm going to be focusing on is the Team Fortress elements of this episode. So let's take a look at this episode, shall we? I really don't have a lot of experience with this web series, although I do remember being vaguely aware of it. The only thing I'm aware of is the meme about Anthony Birch. Thank God I'm not Anthony Birch, or something along those lines. But anyways, let's just go ahead and start this up.
People always ask me, how I perfected the art of irritating Anthony Birch. And it is an art. They look at it and they think, I can do that. They think it's all costumes and squirt guns, but...
Alright, I want to pause it immediately. There's a couple things I wanted to bring up. First of all, I suppose I was already aware that this was an older web series. However, being confronted with this quality of video does something to my brain. I've been assaulted with a wave of nostalgia. Maybe it's just because I'm used to the content I watch regularly. Very rare that I'll go back and watch some things. And while I'm not a complete idiot, I'm aware that older videos were made with different equipment and things like that. I just was not mentally prepared to see this and be, like I said, confronted with the age of this media. The other thing I wanted to point out before going forward was the style that this is filmed is clearly trying to evoke some of the Meet the Team videos with talking head segments, and I'm assuming that we are going to see this play out similarly with gags in between the interview. Just going to adjust that so that way we don't have to see Ashley Birch in a half blank. I do have to say, just based off of this first initial few seconds of the first shot, there's a lot of information we're being given here. Again, I was vaguely aware of what this series is before watching this, but just based off of the first opening moments, we know that Ashley Birch is going to be annoying. I don't know if they mentioned the name, but I'm assuming they mentioned the name Anthony, and so we already have some character dynamics going off based off of just the writing and performance alone. So that's very interesting to me. Anyways, let's keep watching.
No. There's a far more subtle thing to irritate Anthony Birch. It's delicate.
Hey Ash, what you...
Oh, ow! I broke your stupid crap! Not even winded.
Alright, right off the bat, I've noticed an inconsistency with the TF2 Meet the Teams formula. Now this is of course ultimately inconsequential, but it's worth pointing out as a reaction that I'm having. If they did that wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but this Meet the Blank title card sequence is supposed to be happening at the end of the video and not at the beginning. And also, now that I'm looking at this paused frame of the video, I have to say, just a ton of nostalgia here. Something about the way that this kitchen looks screams 2000s to me, and it's doing a lot of things to my brain. I was not expecting this much nostalgia to be happening when I sat down to watch this video. Let's continue.
I've experienced my share of failure.
Just hold still now.
Wanker! He's smarter than you think. Prepared. Cunning, you might almost say.
Ha-ha! Aw.
You gotta try everything. Your physical warfare,
How do you like
psychological,
coffee?
sleep deprivation,
Quiet, maggot!
your wrench to the head.
Yippee-ki-yay! Woohoo!
Call a doctor. Call a doctor, Ashley. I think you gave me a concussion. I think you gave me a concussion. I think you gave me a concussion. What are you doing? Oh my God. Ow, help. I think you cracked my skull. Ashley, help me. Help.
What was that? Now that was funny, don't get me wrong, but I am a bit confused there. So let me break that down. First, we have Ashley Birch as the engineer, smacking Anthony on the head, emoting on them, which again, that's pretty funny. And this part right here is pretty funny too. They just walk off without saying anything to them. But the part that confuses me is that they come back as the doctor and then continue to say nothing. And then they walk away again. Okay, maybe that is funny, now that I think about it. Maybe it's just all funny. At first, though, it was confusing to see. Alright, let's continue with the video.
I know him. That's why I'm so good at my job. I know him better than anybody. I'm in his head. I know what it's like to be Anthony Birch.
What? Gentlemen.
Hi, son.
Alright, yes, very funny. I'm honestly a little bit surprised going back and watching content that old, and especially content that I'm not particularly nostalgic about. I know I did say it gave me a lot of nostalgic feelings, but those feelings were mostly brought on by the qualities of the video and not necessarily the video itself. I don't believe I've actually seen that video before. Even still, it did hold up. At least as a fan of TF2, I thought it was funny. I don't know how deep into the web series they were when this was released, but I got a sense that they had their comedic stylings already well established. A lot of quick jokes, a lot of silly mannerisms as well, and in general just the writing and pacing seemed to be pretty well nailed down. Now I don't think it was necessarily unique to have shorter videos back when this was uploaded. In fact, if I remember correctly, it was quite normal to have short skits. However, that doesn't necessarily take away from the quality and entertainment that I got from this video in particular. So I think that's worth praising as well. Honestly, there's not a lot of negative things I can say about this piece of work here. I guess the only negative thing I had to say was the Meet the Blank title card was used improperly, but obviously that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just noticed it as a fan of TF2. What are some other things I noticed while watching this? Well, I know that Ashley Birch would go on to have a very successful career as far as I'm aware, and so knowing that also adds a little bit of entertainment value to that video in particular. And again, I'm not very familiar with Anthony Birch, so there's not much I can say there. Let me know if you have any insights on the Anthony Birch sides of things. Otherwise, it was very entertaining, especially getting to see all the characters in TF2 represented in this short comedy video. Now, I do want to see when it was uploaded. 13 years ago, October 7th, 2011. Wow. Now, I know I'm not unique in expressing discomfort in this passage of time that we're all experiencing, but I do have to say, aside from being reminded of me aging, that's a pretty good video. I think it stands on its own, and there's not much else I really have to say about that. Thank you for watching. Let me know if there's any TF2 videos you would like me to react to next, and if you have any input, as usual, let me know. If you'd like to support this channel, be sure to check out my Patreon. There's a free tier that gives you access to my updates. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.